Hey, EveryStem members, Luann here. I am so excited about showing you our newest feature. This feature is called the Order Consolidation feature. It is an export feature that is located on the dashboard of EveryStem. So we're going to go ahead and click on the dashboard. And when we open up the dashboard, you're going to see something new here if you have been using EveryStem for a while. There is a new button called Consolidated Export. That's the button you're going to use to consolidate multiple EveryStem events into one large event so that you can create one big order. So let's take a look at how this works. You're going to see this new button up here called Consolidated Export, and you are going to see a checkbox next to all of your events now. So let's go ahead and consolidate a few orders. We've got a wedding named the Handley wedding, we've got a wedding named the Easton wedding, and we've got a standing order for the first week of January. So these two weddings are on January 7th, and this is my standing order for the first week of January. So these are all going to be ordered at the same time. So I want to go ahead and consolidate these so I can maximize the bunches, make it easy for my wholesalers, make it easy for my team to be able to actually get in all this product, process it, and handle it. So we're going to go ahead and click the Consolidated Export button, and we're going to see something similar to what we have in our current export for individual events. We're going to have the option to use a PDF, to export to PDF or to export to Excel. And then we're going to have a list of all the vendor names. So these are the vendors that are attached to the items in all of these events. I think if there's more than 4 in the list, you'll see a little drop-down scroll bar and you'll be able to highlight them all if you want to get the breakout by vendor. Then you're going to scroll down a little bit and we're going to see the Advanced Options button. And you're going to be able to do a drop-down right here. And this column count for the PDF summary, this is set to 8. This is going to be how many columns will show up on the PDF printout when you download it. So if you have a column that happens to be cut off, or you want to adjust this to only have maybe 4 columns per page, you can change this here and it will just adjust the number of columns per page. So that's really up to you, but we have it set to 8 to make it as efficient as possible. The next thing you'll see is page header. And this is basically what's going to show up at the top of each page. So if you send this to your vendors, it'll have some information. So you could put your business name here. It is limited to a certain number of characters, so it can't be really, really long, but you can put some custom information in here. So let's just put profitable floral design, and we'll put dash Luann. That way, if my vendors need to contact me, they'll know that these orders are from my business. Same as the current export, we can include the prices. Those are the wholesale prices. And then we can also include the bunch counts on all the flowers that we're ordering by the stem so that the vendors get the information of how many stems we need and then how many bunches that equates to. So let's go ahead and take a look at the last section here. Screen that you're going to see where it's combining all the pages of the multiple events. So we have the Easton wedding, all the pages of that one. Then we have the Handley wedding, all the pages of that one. And then we have our standing order. And then you can see that it is combining all of those flowers together. So it's taking the blush carnations from all of these events and combining them. We're going to need a total of 187. We're going to have 13 extra, and we're going to need to buy 200 total. So it's going to do that for every flower, which is awesome, because if you have some extras for the Handley wedding and you have some extras for the Easton wedding, then what might happen is you actually end up having to order one bunch less. And I'll show you a little bit about that when we get closer to that part. But we're going to scroll back up and we're going to click this export button. You're going to see the PDF export appear. This is what you're going to be able to print out or email to your vendors. So we've got 8 columns here: the Easton wedding personals, the ceremony, the reception, the install, and then the Handley wedding personals, ceremony, reception, and install. So these weddings both have 4 pages. And then when I scroll down, you're going to go ahead and see that the last order we did, the standing order, that was just 1 column. So it's just 1 page. So that's just going to be by itself there. So if you adjust the PDF columns, then you'll see that this could be adjusted. So if you just wanted 4 per page, you could do that by changing that number 8 in the PDF column count, changing that to a 4. Then you're going to see a summary total. So the next section is going to be the totals of all the flowers that you're ordering. So the detail is great, but this is just a clean look at the total. So you can see exactly how many you need to order and how many extra you'll have. The nice thing about that is that as you go through this list, you can kind of see if there's any opportunity to shrink this down a little bit more. If this was 24 extra carnations, maybe there would be a way in one of your events that you could cut it down so you could order even one bunch less of carnations. So if y'all need a lesson on how to do that, let me know. I'm happy to help. But this is a great way to look through your extras as a consolidated order and see how many extras you have. Then you can go back up to the top and look at the detail information and see each page that the flowers are on, figure out where you can adjust. Each flower is going to have its own name. It's going to be in alphabetical order. If you have hard goods, you'll see here that the hard goods show up as well. So it's really nice because this is just a solid list of all the flowers you need to order. And then below the summary total page, you'll see that we're going to have the by vendor breakout. So this is great because each of these lists is exactly who I'm ordering from, these flowers. So Austin Flower Company is my main wholesaler here in Austin, Texas, and I like to order a lot of my flowers from them. If for some reason there's a flower on this list, let's say the carnations, I decided this week that I actually want to order them from someone else, I can go back, find the event that they're in, and change the vendor name, and then it will change on this list as well from whatever vendor to the new vendor that you change it to. If you only change it in one event, and this flower is on multiple events, it will appear on multiple vendor lists. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that in a second. We've got our foraged flowers. We're going to forage some greenery. And then we've got our Mayesh flowers. And then we've got our southern floral roses. So typically, if I was to order these two wedding events separately and my standing order, I would probably need to buy 575 of these circus roses. But because I'm combining these orders and letting the system consolidate, instead of having extras on each event, it's actually cutting off a bunch of the roses and lowering it down to 550. So this is going to add a lot of savings to everybody's bottom line because you are going to be able to consolidate these orders on a regular basis. If you do multiple weddings in a week, multiple events in a week, multiple standing orders in a week, this is going to really save you guys some money. And then finally, my supplies list. So I have this pretty simple. I need large white urns, and I need 12 of them. This is great because I could actually have all my supplies under this one list and be able to pull and pack everything. So that's the breakdown of the PDF. The Excel file looks very similar. Now we're going to go back and take a look at two other events just to show you what could happen if your items do not match in an order. So let's go ahead and consolidate order number 1 and order number 2. We're going to click on each of those orders, and then we're going to click the Consolidated Export button up here on the top left. There are only 3 buttons on the dashboard, so it makes it really simple. Let's go ahead and click Consolidated Export. We can see that we've got gardenia greenery by the bunch because there's a B after it. But then on the second line, we have gardenia greenery by the stem because there's an S after it and it's a significantly lower price. So this item is being listed on the export twice because we have it set up in 2 different ways. That means on one event, order number 1, we're ordering it by the bunch. And on the second event, order number 2, we're ordering it by the stem. Now we have to decide, was this a mistake? Do we need to correct this? And if so, which one do we want to go with? Do we want to go with the ordering it by the bunch, or do we want to go with ordering it by the stem? I'll show you how to fix that in a second. The next one is we've got 2 hard goods clear glass cylinder vases. The first one, it's by the stem and it's $5 a vase. And the second one is by the stem and it's $5 a vase. So there's nothing different on this list about these hard goods. So that leads me to believe that the vendor is probably different. So when we look at the by vendor breakout, we'll see that these are probably listed under 2 different vendor names. So if we want these to all be under one line item, we need to make sure that the vendor name matches. Basically, the flower name, the price, the vendor name, and all the information needs to match so that it can be consolidated. If any of the information is different, it is going to create multiple lines for that item. So you'll want to take a look at the export and make sure that you're double checking. This is a tool that's going to help you, but you still need to do the work to make sure that you're ordering your flowers accurately. You're going to need to go through these lists. They're all in alphabetical order, so it makes it very easy. But you're going to need to make sure that you're ordering the right number of flowers. And then the last one here is the tulip. And this tulip is by the stem, and it's $2 a stem. And then if we look at the second one, it's by the stem, but it's $1.49 a stem. Now in the same week, are we buying them from two different vendors and they're two different prices? If that's an active choice, if that's a business decision you've made, then that's fine. But if you're ordering these from the same place, we need to double check the pricing from the wholesaler, and we need to make sure that we have the same vendor name under both of these flowers. So let's go ahead and just take a look. We're going to export the PDF, highlight all the vendors so we can take a look at what's happening with our vendor list. The fancy gardenia greenery is under order number 1. That's by the bunch. And then the fancy gardenia greenery that we're ordering by the stem is under order number 2. So let's take a look at those. When we scroll down under our totals, we're going to be able to see that they're both under AFC. So if we're buying these from AFC, do we want to order them by the stem or do we want to order them by the bunch? And then we need to adjust the quantities in our event that we're going to change. So let's take a look at that really quickly. I'm going to show you how that works. We're going to go over to our first event, order number 1. And we're going to see that we're ordering this by the bunch, and that's how we want to actually order it. So let's just leave that as it is. We see on our flower order, we're ordering 0.7 of a bunch for these 5 arrangements, and we're ordering 1 bunch for each of these 5 arrangements. So we've got a total of 8.5 bunches. So now we're going to switch over to order number 2. We've got to go to our flower order page. We're going to see that it's by the stem, and that we're saying there's 10 stems in a pack, which is pretty accurate. I think usually I get gardenia that's 10 stems in a pack, but it can vary. So we want to go with the bunch option. That way, if we don't get exactly 10 stems in a bunch, we know that we're going to be in good shape. So let's take a look. We're ordering 7 stems for this design, and we're ordering 11 stems for this design. So we're going to have to adjust that to bunch quantities when we change this so that our order matches. So we're going to go ahead and click on it. We're going to change this to $9.90, and we're going to make this by the bunch because that's our price for the entire bunch. And we're going to go ahead and click submit, and now we'll see that it's by the bunch for $9.90. Now what we need to do is say, okay, well, what's 7 stems about approximately in a bunch? Let's say it's about, 0.7 of a bunch. And so that's pretty close. We're still in good shape here. And then 11 stems, let's say that's like about a bunch. Maybe we could do 1.1 bunches. Let's see. That's pretty close. So let's go ahead and leave it at that. So once we've changed that, now when we save our order, we go back to the dashboard and we open this up, you're going to see that it is going to take those 2 and combine them together. So we no longer have 2 gardenia greenery line items here. We only have the 1. The fancy gardenia greenery is by the bunch, and it is just on 1 line. It's adding all of those bunches up together. It's taking the 8.5 from order number 1 and the 9 bunches from order number 2, and it's combining them together to get us 18 total bunches. So it's really easy to fix these little things if you see 2 of the same flower or hard good on your list. You want to make sure that you're either doing that on purpose or that you're consolidating it so that all the information matches. Let's take a look at this next item, the hard good clear glass vase. For this one, we're going to go back to the dashboard and we're going to look at order number 1. We're going to see where this is coming from. We have to click on our flower order page. We're going to click on clear glass vase, and we're going to see that this one is coming from Southern Floral. So we already know the price matches. We already know it's 1 stem per pack. So that wasn't an issue. The reason this line item was showing up 2 times on our export was because it had 2 different vendors. So we're going to just close this one. And then we're going to go to our second order. And when we open that one up and take a look at the clear glass cylinder vase, we're going to see that this one is under supplies. So if I have to order it from Southern Floral, I probably want that to be on my list from Southern Floral. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the supplies name, and I'm going to do Southern Floral. I'm going to make sure this name matches exactly so that this order can be consolidated. This item will be consolidated when I hit my export button. So let's go ahead and click submit on that. We're going to go ahead and save that, and then we're going to go back to the dashboard. Now, when we consolidate these two by clicking the check boxes next to them and clicking the consolidated export button, we're going to see that now we're back down to just the one hard good clear glass vase. It is showing up under our list. And then when we look at our vendor names, the supplies vendor name is gone and it's just Southern Floral. So we know if we export this that the hard good vase is going to show up there and it's going to consolidate them all down. Lastly, let's take a look at the white tulip. I know this is a lot to take in, but I think this will be helpful for you guys. If you run into issues, you can come back and look at this video and kind of troubleshoot as you go through this process. But the tulip white, let's take a look at that one. We've got a $2 tulip and a $1.49 tulip. So we know that in all likelihood, the same week when we order this flower, it's probably not going to be two different prices. It's probably going to be one or the other. So let's go ahead and go back into our event and take a look at what the price is. So I checked with my wholesaler. They told me, yeah, Luann, the tulips are $1.49. So what I can do is change my price in the one that has a $2 price back to my $1.49. Once I do that, it is going to adjust my pricing a little bit. So I can see that I have $24.30 left over here. Maybe I want to add a little bit more of something to this one. Maybe I could give them 25 tulips. I don't know if that's going to work. It puts me a little bit over budget. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep it the same. I'm happy with that recipe. I'm going to make a little bit extra money here because luck was in my favor and I got the lower price on these tulips. So that makes me really happy. Now we're going to go back, we're going to save this, go back to our dashboard, and we're going to consolidate these two orders. Once we consolidate these, we're going to see when we highlight our information, we can go down to advanced options and name the header if we want. We can add the prices. These are the wholesale prices so that when you send it to the vendor, they see the price that you're expecting to pay. And then the bunch count, and that's going to include how many bunches. So if it's 50 roses, it's going to say 2 bunches because usually 25 roses come in a pack. So we're going to click the export button, and it's going to show us our detail first. Then it's going to show us our summary totals. And so it is taking our two orders and combining them together. So that's great. Lastly, it's going to give us our breakout by vendor. We have our greenery that's by the bunch, that's $9.90 a bunch. And we only see one of each of these, which is great. These are now working the way they need to be because we have a consistency from each event across the board. So make sure your library is up to date. And then when you add flowers into your events from your library, make sure that if they're the same week, that everything is matching. That way, when you do this consolidated export, the flowers are going to be easy for you to order from your wholesalers. And so that's pretty much how it works. I do want to go back to the previous order really quickly. So I did that math. And the savings just for the overlap by consolidating and maximizing the bunches of these flowers in these 3 events, the total of the 25 cartons, the 1 bunch of gardenia, the plum fringe, the 25 circus roses, and the bunch of spray roses, at my cost, that comes to $126.05, which is awesome because that is literally half the price of an annual membership to EveryStem. So just on this 1 week of consolidating orders, some of these do overlap. You might have weeks where they don't overlap as much. But if you do this on a regular basis, the weeks where you have multiple orders and you consolidate them, you are going to easily save a ton of money. And EveryStem, if you buy the annual membership at $250 a year, it's going to more than pay for itself just by using this feature alone.